We are talking about the cicadas with Paul Thompson. He is the urban horticulture agent for the York County Clemson Extension office. Good morning to you, Paul.
Good morning.
Good morning.
So we're not only talking about cicadas, you brought us in a prop.
We have some.
Well, yes, they were all over your parking lot. I figured that might be why you cued you into wanting to talk about cicadas. Yeah, we're kind of coming to the end of their invasion. So they've been out a month, and usually 5-6 weeks. They emerge, usually, very end of April, early May. It all has to do with soil temperatures down 8 inches deep, and that kind of coincides with their emergence. But you can imagine with all the hills and valleys, and this is a north slope, and all these things that are going to impact soil temperatures, they don't all emerge, within a few days. They emerge over a period of about 3 weeks, and the adult only lives about 2 weeks. So, from start to finish, you're talking 5-6 week span of them being present.
So what is a cicada? Is it considered an insect?
Yeah, it's an insect.
Okay.
It's got the longest life cycle of any insect. There are other insects like a queen termite or something like that might actually live longer than the 13 years, but a whole colony doesn't. It's just that one, queen insect. In this case, you got the whole population of male and female cicadas. They're related to things like aphids, which are tiny little plant lice. The anatomy of insects is how they're classified into these different groups, these different orders. So they have a piercing, sucking mouth part. And they've just got this unusual life cycle of they're in a stage called a nymph, which lives under the ground for a period of 13 or 17-year cycle of another brood of periodic cicadas, which, in the news, this spring, it was all about this mass emergence, and everybody was thinking, oh, we're going to have 2 broods emerging at the same time. We're going to be overwhelmed. But they don't overlap in their territories. So the 17-year cicada that emerged this year is up kind of Missouri on up into the Midwest, up into Michigan and stuff like that. And they come fairly close to each other at the most southern and most northern. But certainly the brood here in the southeast, brood 19, is a 13-year cicada, and it's the largest. It covers the largest geographic area of all the different broods, which there's about 10 or so, and they're all eastern United States.
And you said that they come out normally in April. That's when they emerge.
Late April into early May.
Why does it seem like it's been worse this year than in years past? Is there a reason for that, or is it always this bad and we just kind of forget and then they're here again?
I was around when we had the last one, and I remember going out to the that Heritage Preserve, Blackjack Heritage Preserve right off 72 on the other side of town. And, and that was the only place, and maybe down in Chester County, you would drive through some areas where if your window was down driving down the highway, you could hear them, Yeah. But it's hard to say. They're going to be, maybe it's because, if you have a development and they go in there and clear the ground, cut down trees, and there was a cicada population that was there, that can destroy that population. And, but maybe in some cases they're going to where there's more trees because they are associated with hardwood trees, and it can be just about any species. And, oaks are a prevalent hardwood in the woods, and so you primarily think of them with that, but they really can feed on the roots of any tree, and they don't feed on the food that the tree makes for itself. They feed on the flow of nutrients and water from the soil. So they it's like they just plug into the the supply line and and don't really seem to do a lot of damage to trees by feeding on their roots. Now, later on, in about a month or two, people are going to see a bunch of dead branches, probably 2-3 feet long, small diameter branches are going to be hanging on trees. And that is from the female egg laying. So she's got an ovipositor on her tail end, and she saws into the twig and will lay a stack of eggs in each place she does, and she can lay several hundred eggs. A population is like, where they're occurring is, up to about 1.5 million insects per acre. You could have tens of thousands under a single big tree. Wow. But everything eats them.
Including my dog.
Including your dog.
Is that okay?
Yeah, is that okay?
Yeah, I mean, it's not going to hurt anything.
She's
they're fine. They're not poisonous. They're harmless to people. They can't do anything to you.
Because I was going to ask, what is the purpose? So what purpose do they serve, cicadas?
Well, you could ask that about a whole lot of insects there. I mean, they're just part of life.
The life cycle.
So these cicadas that we're seeing now, they've been underground for 13 years.
Right.
And they've just resurfaced, and now they've planted some new ones while they're here. And
they're laying eggs, and the eggs are going to hatch, and the nymphs, they don't do anything in the twig. That's just a place to lay the eggs. They actually drop out of the tree to the ground after they hatch, which usually takes about 5 to 6 weeks. And they start burrowing down in the ground, and they will, they'll feed on grass roots initially. But they end up settling on tree roots.
So talk to us about the sound that they make, the hum or the
the male is the only one that does that.
Okay.
And the male is making a sound to attract a mate. And good luck to them. I mean, you got millions of them up there. What's going to single you out? From
the sound of it, all of them should be able to find love.
Yeah, this is a male. This is a male that I brought in, and right underneath the front of their wing on their thorax is it's just a little thin. You can kind of see that little light color right there, right in there, and it's just a little thin membrane, and they vibrate their wings, and it makes this kind of a mechanical sound. In fact, if you pick up a male, catch a live one and hold it, it'll make that noise. It's like, are you plugged in or what? I mean, it's just a vibration that's just electrical, just like a hum.
So he's doing that to attract a female. And to your point, like
right, but they'll do that because you've caught them and they're trying to scare you or whatever.
But they all make the same sound, right? Like, or do they?
Well, I guess some of them must have a better sound than others.
No. Okay.
I don't know. I mean, there's so many of them out there. It's probably not too hard to find a mate. But anyway.
And then how long do they live? Because there's so many dead ones. I mean, I feel like we see just as many dead ones around as we see the flying ones.
As an adult, they only live about 2 weeks.
Okay. So they just...
And really the first 4 or 5 days, they're still maturing. The nymph emerges from the soil and climbs up, a tree trunk or whatever. And you've seen them, these shells hanging on the tree. You see them from the annual cicadas every year. You'll see those things hanging. And they molt one last time, and inside of that nymph is an adult with wings. And when they first emerge, they are like an albino white, creamy white. And they have red eyes. So the red eyes are very obvious. And their wings are formed, but they're not filled out. And so they crawl out, and they'll stay in place for a few days. And, the sunlight and all like that darkens their body and gives them their final color. But they're still not completely sexually active for 4 or 5 days after they have come out of that shell. So, really, in reality, they might just fly around for about 10 days and their life is done.
Conk
So
out.
all that time underground has been a couple of weeks on vacation and having fun.
That's it. So 13 years underground.
And about 2 weeks.
They emerge and they have all their whole life cycle
right.
thrown in together in a 2-week span.
Right.
Well, they go out with a bang.
Yeah, they sure do. Boy, they get all the seasons in one, don't
so
they, Paul?
I mean, when
That's
mating
great.
is over, they die.
That's
They
it.
Yeah.
perish,
Gosh.
and that's why you see them all over the place.
Well, we're out of time, Paul, but boy, we
Yeah, this
appreciate
is riveting.
the explanation of why we have cicadas and why they're hanging around here, and we appreciate your time. And Paul, after this is his last time really on Palmetto Mornings. He's riding off into the sunset after this. He's officially retiring. And gosh, Paul, we've enjoyed interviewing you so many times over the years and look forward to a happy retirement to you
Well,
and your
I
family.
can always come in
that's true.
every now and then
Okay.
when I'm retired.
I need to
We'll
get your
make it a
cell
date.
phone. Yeah. 13 years from now, when this group of cicadas come back around, we'll give you a call.
Oh, okay.
Okay. All right. Paul Thompson is the urban horticulture agent for the York County Clemson Extension Service.